when was the last time that Meta actually innovated in the social media space? I don't think that they've done it in like literally ages, right?
Instagram has instant.
Instant.
Now, I don't understand the concept of
Are people
instant on
really using
Instagram.
instant?
I don't know what Mark Zuckerberg and his team are thinking about. WhatsApp now introducing usernames, which is quite interesting because WhatsApp has always been associated with phone numbers.
I get the sentiment of reserving usernames for celebrities, but fundamentally speaking, celebrities are just people. I don't like the idea of having. Just because Beyonce is Beyonce. Yes, we respect her for being Beyonce. She's amazing. Kudos to her. Props to her. Amazing singer. But then there are other people called Beyonce on the planet, right?
Beyonce.
Let's be real. There are other people called Beyonce on the planet.
Moving on to PlayStation. When I saw this piece of news, I was just like, this is not possible.
Sony now wants to completely eliminate the physical components, which added so much value, right, in terms of like the content you got with it, and literally just replace that with digital-only games without any significant value add. I think it's just a shame and it's a disgrace, frankly speaking. And that's just my opinion
my
on
days.
it. Right?
We are very hurt. About 1,300 stores for GameStop, which has been closed down globally in the last 2 years, and what they're saying is like people don't actually come to like buy the physical disc anymore. So if you are to go by that metric and the performance, it gives a bit of justification, because then it's like the stores are closing, so that means people are not buying the physical disc, and the whole concept of leaning towards the online store feels sensible. Then the cyber attack happened with the information network, which allows like the government agencies to plan, coordinate, and like share information and intelligence about major events and response to emergencies. That is wild. How did that happen? How did the hackers get in? I find it's like quite interesting because they are constantly on the neck of other companies to make sure their security is like airtight, but this is still happening even within their own internal body. At the end of the day, we are all humans trying our best to be as secure as possible. I hope all employers out there can hear this. Do not put too much pressure on your employees, because we are all infallible. Okay, I'm done. Hello, well, welcome to Tech Talk Show, the podcast of Tech Talk.
For everyday people.
We're back this week with another amazing episode. So much is happening in tech. When is something never happening in tech? But this week on the podcast, we are going to be running you through some of our favorite topics and big news that's happened in tech over the last couple of weeks, days, literally everything happening we are discussing on this episode. Starting off with WhatsApp now introducing usernames, which is quite interesting because WhatsApp has always been associated with phone numbers. I don't know what Mark Zuckerberg and his team are thinking about. Then Sony is ending physical PlayStation discs. This is very jarring and shocking for anybody that is like a gamer, a PlayStation fan boy or fan girl. We've always had like that CD. If you grew up when CD was a major thing, you know the struggle of putting in that CD when the power goes off and all of that. Anthropic is also discussing like a new custom chip with Samsung. Also an interesting piece of news because this means that they might be creating their own AI chip, which is good. The US government got hacked again earlier this month, and we are going to be talking a bit about what the Department of Homeland Security is doing in regards to this act. OpenAI is surprisingly giving Trump administration a stake in their company's ownership. I mean,
Guess who
this
predicted
was
that,
literally
Abby?
one of the things. I know.
Guess who predicted
Like, this was
that?
literally one of the things
I did.
we talked about.
I did.
Yes, you did. Yano is a prophet everybody needs to start following. Again, Sensei, when am I getting rich? That's all I want to know. Give me a date because your foresight is very on point. But yeah, OpenAI is giving Trump a percentage in their company stakes, and we're ending the episode with Lime, which is quite interesting because I recently crossed 200 rides on Lime, and I had no idea that they had that much like potential in them. But they recently IPO'd, and we're going to be sharing more about the IPO and how their performance has been as a public company.
Nice.
Now, to get into the episode itself, Yano, when did you join WhatsApp? Did you
Good
remember when you
question.
created
Good
your WhatsApp?
question. I all I know is I've been on WhatsApp for ages. To be honest, I think the first time I
Yeah.
used WhatsApp was like, was it JSS 3 or SS 1? I know
What?
that's been like my go-to chat app since like forever. To be honest, like back in the day when Symbian phones were even dominating, I remember I had a
Yeah,
WhatsApp
yeah,
on my. I think it was I had a Nokia N72, and I remember using
yeah.
WhatsApp on that N72, and that was like around GSS 2 ish, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken. So that's crazy. Like I've been using WhatsApp for like so long, and it's been so synonymous in terms of like chats. For me personally, it's
Yeah.
my go to. Even like back in the day when BBM. For those who remember BBM, I know some of our listeners might not be old enough to remember what on earth BBM is,
Come
but
on.
it is what it is,
Why
right?
are you why are you like dragging the 2000 babies? Because I feel like the 90 kids are the ones that probably can relate to the BlackBerry lifestyle and BBM. BBM was the OG
Yeah,
messaging app before WhatsApp,
yeah,
Instagram,
yeah,
or any of these messaging apps
yeah,
came around. It was crazy. It had like a music feature where you could show what you were listening to in real time. You had like BBM pin.
yeah.
Like, do you remember
Yeah, I
having
remember. I
pins? That was
remember.
before usernames became a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Fun fact. I don't know whether you had a BlackBerry, Dammy. Fun fact. I never had a BlackBerry of my own. The first time I actually used BBM ever was
Yeah.
when BBM came to Android. Like I literally
Android,
didn't use it
yes.
until it came to
Yeah, that it
Android,
was the same
and
for
then it was
me.
like by
Yeah.
the time BBM started expanding to Android and iOS, it was already like all but dead at that point because they were literally begging people to come and use BBM at that point. And yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think to be honest, we're going a bit off topic, but I think to be honest, just on the BBM topic, them opening
Yeah.
BBM up to other people was kind of like the final nail in the coffin of BlackBerry
Yeah.
Messenger. To be
Yeah.
honest, yeah. But yeah, this is very fascinating news, like the whole username addition to WhatsApp. I'm curious about what you think about
Yeah.
it.
I think it's interesting. I don't know how I feel about it, but I feel like it's kind of like following a pattern that we've seen in other applications. For the more social, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, those ones like they've always existed with usernames. And for the people that use like Discord, Telegram also has like the phone number set up, but they've allowed like username for the longest time. I think the main concern which WhatsApp is like aiming to address now that I had was how do you actually ensure the person that owns the username is the real owner, because the way the username thing is going to like work is you reserve your username. So right now it hasn't actually launched. For context for our listeners, the reservation process is still like ongoing, so you'll be able to like share your profile without disclosing your phone number. You can give your username to anybody that you want to like add you up on WhatsApp. And what Meta has said is the reason for wanting to launch this username structure is a situation where giving a phone number feels very personal. Sometimes you don't want to give somebody your phone number, but I mean you still like want to like relate with them, and a username is kind of like safer. So you give them the username and they're able to like add you up on WhatsApp without actually having like your phone number. So that's the concept around it, and I find that like interesting. So you can select from 3 to 35 characters, which is interesting because why is it that long? But I mean, for people that have like usernames that are very long,
Yeah,
don't worry. That
yeah.
allows you to make it as long as you want. But yeah, what I was saying about the security part, I mean, I could literally create an account and name it Beyonce or
Ha ha
something.
ha ha.
Like I'm not Beyonce,
Yeah.
but nobody needs to know that. So, what is the security check that WhatsApp is like putting in place to make sure that doesn't happen? Because they're saying like they're going to reserve some names that are synonymous with celebrities. I mean, we're not celebrities yet,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
eventually,
Ha
when
ha
we do
ha.
become
All
celebrities,
right.
how do you make sure like any person is just not like taking your username and they're using it to like commit fraud or
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
within WhatsApp. That's my main concern.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So I have two primary thoughts on this. Number one, I'd say, and this is just generally like the story of Meta from my perspective. My first
Yeah.
thought about it, good idea, poor execution. Obviously, having usernames, being able to search for people's usernames and add them up without actually knowing their phone numbers, great idea. I
Yeah.
think it's very functional, and it'll actually be really useful for a lot of people, especially people that don't want to actually give their phone numbers out to random people they meet on the street. I think that
Yeah.
could be very helpful. But in terms of like the execution of it, I feel like it's just substandard. Now, ask me why.
Why?
Okay, I'd say, in my opinion, number one, the fact of them reserving usernames, I do not like the idea of that.
Yeah.
Right, frankly speaking. For example, one thing they're doing is they're reserving usernames that already exist on Instagram, for those
Mm.
people to add them up, for Instagram users add them up on WhatsApp. So the idea here is that, let's say your name is John Doe, for example, and you are the first one to open up WhatsApp and try to add the John Doe as your username on WhatsApp,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if there is already someone that uses the John Doe username on Instagram and you do not own that username on Instagram, you cannot use that username because you do not own it on Instagram, which I believe just sucks and it's a poor user experience from
Mm-hmm.
my perspective, frankly speaking, right? I mean, it's like you're saying effectively whoever finds the username or registers a username first on the
Yeah.
internet has perpetual rights to using it wherever they want,
Forever and
forever and
ever.
ever. I
Yeah.
do not like that at all for any reason whatsoever. Especially considering that there are a lot of people out there that could have even forgotten the username, for example, on Instagram, right? Imagine
Mm-hmm.
someone registered an Instagram account 20 years ago, never used it again, right? That username was never freed up. What are the chances of that person using that username ever again, even on WhatsApp? Right, very low. So effectively, what you're doing is you're
Yeah.
locking out people from even using their usernames, which could be their actual real names, on WhatsApp as well, which is just terrible, right? So that's my perspective. I also don't like the idea. I mean, I get the sentiments of reserving usernames for celebrities, but I mean, fundamentally speaking, celebrities are just people. I don't like the idea of having like usernames. I mean, it's just because
I
Beyonce, I
mean,
mean, Beyonce is Beyonce. Yes, we respect her for being Beyonce. She's amazing. Kudos to her. Props to her. Amazing singer. But then there are other people called Beyonce on the planet, right?
Beyonce.
Like
True.
let's be real. There are other people called Beyonce on the planet. There's also a really popular like Bruno Mars. Also, it's like a great singer. I'm pretty sure there will
Yeah.
also be other Bruno Marses on the planet as well, right? In Nigeria, we have Funke and Kidele. I'm surprised if there are other Nigerians called Funke and Kidele as well.
Yeah.
So they thought that these other people will not be able to actually register their own names on WhatsApp because WhatsApp or Instagram or Facebook, rather, Meta, has already reserved these usernames for celebrities. Therefore,
Yeah.
every person is equal, but some people are more equal than
More
others.
important.
I do not even like that idea, right? So that's another thing. So that's my first thought on it. Great idea, poor execution. Second thought, Dami, is I just think that this just this is just another example of Mark Zuckerberg performing a masterclass in copycatism. I think I need to coin
Ah.
that word, copycatism, to be honest, because like Telegram has had usernames for ages, right? I mean, when was the last
Yeah.
time that Meta actually innovated in the social media space? I don't think that they've done it in like literally ages, right? Um,
Instagram has
Instant.
instance.
I mean,
Now I don't understand the concept of
are people
instance on
really using
Instagram.
Instant? I mean, I see, let's say, four
It
people
feels
every now
like
and then
a
like using it, but I
yeah.
don't think that we are getting
But
anything
that's what
really valuable out of Instance, frankly speaking.
yeah.
Maybe I'm just
And it's
being.
a copy of Snapchat.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's a
yeah, yeah,
copy
yeah.
of
That's like
feature on
literally
Snapchat.
the story of Meta social media strategy right now. Just wait till someone thinks
Mm-hmm.
of something like super cool and interesting and just copy it, right? And I don't know whether they've got inspiration from Apple for this, but Zuck needs to realize that Meta is not Apple at this point, and
Yeah.
Apple is really good at waiting for other people to like innovate and then they execute it and execute it better. But then again, tying into my first point of Meta having a story or having good ideas but poor execution, like
Mm-hmm.
if execution is still the problem, even if you copy a feature, you're not gonna get it right, right? So I'd say like
Yeah.
this is just another story of that. Maybe I'm being too cynical, but yeah, that's kind of like just my opinion on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I definitely agree with you regarding the copycatism because it's very evident in a lot of the Meta products. Like right now, I mean, Meta literally has an app called Threads,
yeah,
which is supposed to be like a copy of Twitter.
yeah,
And the funny bit about it is the fact that they make this product and people don't actually use them.
mm,
But one main problem that I have with the entire ecosystem is like I think Meta is trying to force everybody to stay within their apps like community,
yeah,
because thinking about the concept of this username now, it's still tying back to Instagram. Like why does it have to be like associated? What if I don't use Instagram
yeah,
at all and
yeah,
WhatsApp is like my primary app? I mean, my mother doesn't have an Instagram account, but
yeah,
if you're saying like, oh, you are reserving like a username from someone that has been using Instagram and maybe it's like first and last name, like you said, does that mean she won't be able to like reserve her username? And then for threads to function, you needed to have an Instagram account as well. So why is the functionality of these apps
yeah,
so tied to each other? Like it should be flexible, in my
yeah,
opinion. I don't know why Meta is trying to enforce that union so bad.
yeah,
um Threads, Instagram, now WhatsApp, I don't really know like how I feel about it. I mean, again, the concepts of username, I don't know, it might work fine. In the end, I wonder if they will still make it possible for people to like leave out their numbers, because if you decide not to use the username functionality, maybe like some way to like turn it off, because right now the reserving process is, it's like fascinating. Meta has like 3 billion users within its ecosystem. How they intend to manage the whole username thing, I don't know. Like that would be very, very complex, and I foresee a lot of like complication happening, a lot of complaints from users when they eventually launch,
mm,
which is supposed to be like later this year. So right now it's still just them trying to like put that in place,
yeah.
but the reception has been mixed from people in tech. As you can tell, I'm indifferent about it. Yano doesn't like it, so let us know what you think about it. If you reserved your username, I want to know why. Like are you that like are you that invested in WhatsApp? Which is fine. I really go on WhatsApp like once in a couple of days. It's not my active like messaging app, but I don't know. Let's see how that plays out. If iMessage ever decides to like use, no, the concept of username on iMessage would be weird because you have like your Apple ID, so there's really no point for you to need a username. But I mean, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah,
It's just like Meta being Meta. They have a long history of all this experimentation that ends up in the graveyard. So will this be one of those? You can never tell. The virtual reality, all of that, all of that. I mean, I admire Mark Zuckerberg's leadership, his innovation instinct is brilliant. But this one, I want to see how it plays out on the long run. I really want to see the way it will modify the WhatsApp experience.
all right, awesome.
Moving on to PlayStation. When I saw this piece of news, I was just like, this is not possible. But then I understand it because technology has changed so much
Yeah,
over the years that I don't know, maybe it's just like the nostalgia coming into play, because if you use the OG PlayStation, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, you definitely remember like the whole experience of using the CD,
yeah,
putting it into the game console and waiting for it to load,
yeah,
log
yeah,
into your profile.
yeah,
And the days of when we had like cartridges, my goodness, that
yeah,
was one
yeah,
of the worst experience because you could literally lose the entire memory of what you've been playing like for
yeah,
months, maybe even years. So the CD provided like an alternative that was like functional in the core of it. But now Sony has announced that they are going to like stop producing physical disc for all PlayStation games starting in January of 2028, and every single one of their games will be digital. What do you think about this?
Yeah, so I have strong opinions about this. I'd say, first of all, this is a story of corporate greed in action.
Here we go. Money talk. Here comes the money.
Frankly speaking,
Hmm.
although Sony didn't say it, I was kind of like everybody understands like the underlying reason why Sony is making
Yeah,
the decision is frankly speaking just because of profits, right? Um, Sony does not, or game companies generally do not like, for example, the idea of people owning physical CDs and sharing those CDs with friends, right? People,
yeah,
so companies like Sony, companies like Microsoft as well, don't also aren't big fans of the ideas of people also reselling their games after they use it, right? You have
yeah.
thriving um, third party resale markets, right, for games, video games. So if a person buys a game, finishes playing it, I'm done with the game. I can easily go and look for a person to sell
Pass
it to,
on to
right?
someone
And
else.
Sony does not get a piece of that pie. They don't get a slice of that pie. They don't get their own cut out of that market, right? Sony does
Mm,
not want to leave money on the table. It's pretty clear, right? And that's like one of the major reasons that the game industry or consumers of games at this point believe that Sony is making this decision simply to maximize profit. Because if they can completely eliminate the distribution of physical discs to users, to gamers, then
yeah,
they've effectively eliminated the third party game resale market, which is a major loss for the game industry as a whole, right? Another thing we have to consider, Dami, not just in terms of like the harm that this will cause to gamers who want to resell their
yeah,
games. When you think about games and what games do, right? Um, Games don't only store data like in terms of actual storing the game, right? They also store memories, like literally. Like
yeah.
every physical game carries like a story with it. From like the moment, like you said, that a person went to the store to buy the game to the moment that they got home, they unwrap the game with their family, with their dad, with their brother,
So
smiling in a circle, unwrap the game,
it's just
open
like
it
a
up,
bonding.
yeah,
Yeah.
open the game up. Many times back in the day, like when you bought a brand new game, it had additional content even in the package. Like for example, if for those people that are young, are old enough to remember, like GTA, like let's say you bought GTA, you could receive like in the package you could get like a map along with the GTA game. That's like a map of like the
Mm,
world in the game and like different sites that you could explore and everything like that. You had additional content, so this was like value add as well to the
mhm.
to what you're buying, right? But the fact that Sony now wants to completely eliminate the physical components, which added so much value, right, in terms of like the content you got with it, and literally just
Yeah.
replace that with digital only games without any significant value add. I think it's just a shame and it's a disgrace, frankly speaking. And that's just my
Oh
opinion
my
on it,
days.
right? But yeah, Dami,
You
I feel like I might be a bit harsh from
you
this
are very
perspective.
hurt.
Let me know what you think. It's just crazy to me.
Oh my.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to be fair to Sony, like I totally understand you, and I agree with the element of the memory. Yeah, like you said, the physical game definitely comes with like some advantages. Even the branding, sometimes the rollout is one that is like really great because when you buy the entire game CD, the appearance and all of that is really nice to unpack. Like you're so excited and thrilled
Yeah.
about it. Um, but to be fair to Sony, I think there's been like a general decline in physical game purchase, which is reflected in the number of stores that have had to like shut down over the like past couple of months and almost a year because we've had like about 1,300 stores for GameStop, which has been closed down globally in the last 2 years. And what they're saying is like people don't actually come to like buy the physical disc anymore. So if you are to go by that metric and the performance, it gives a bit of justification because then it's like the stores are closing, so that means people are not buying the physical disc, and the whole concept of leaning towards the online store feels sensible then because the stores have to pay rent, they need to employ people to work in the stores, and if they're shutting down, it just indicates that maybe there's just like not enough profits to be made in that area, and it's not worthwhile for them to like keep running, unless if Sony wants to have an online store where people can like purchase the physical game, but the concept of having like physical stores that actually sell the game CD, it just doesn't seem very profitable for the stores anymore outside of Sony. So that's
So,
something else
so
that I think about.
yeah, so Dami, I hear that, but I would push back on it. I mean, okay, yes, it's definitely true. Physical game stores have been struggling, right? That
Yeah.
being said, that in no way affects Sony's bottom line specifically,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, Sony's still making
I
their
mean,
money.
with that logic, it's like Sony is saying physical game stores are struggling, therefore let's kill them off. Okay, like what?
Mm,
Like I mean, who like you rightfully said like AMC, like no GameStop, sorry, not AMC. Companies like GameStop have been struggling to sell games like in as much volume, right?
yeah.
Why on earth, if Sony is trying to address that problem, why on earth would they be eliminating the physical games that GameStop themselves are selling? Therefore,
They don't
GameStop goes out of
care.
business. It's just like saying, I have this sick child in the hospital on life support.
Oh my, now we're going
Let's
too
save this child.
far.
Let's save this child by pulling off life support. It makes no sense, Dammy. It makes no sense. Like
Oh my
if
god.
that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
argument that Sony is coming from, like it's not. It's just yeah. It's a bizarre one, right? I feel like
we're going to pretend Yano did not just come here buying a game to
no
a child
no
in
no
the
no no no
hospital.
no. I'm just saying like
I
literally
understand
it's
what
just
you're
it's
saying.
effectively it's a
Like,
metaphor. It's a
putting,
metaphor. It's just like
yeah,
saying
I get what you're
there's something
saying.
like there's obviously a problem like companies are running out of business, right?
Yeah.
Fine, right? But
They
then
could have made like better decision for sure that benefits the other companies, but I like you said, Sony is pretty much looking out for themselves and their own profits, because first things first, they pretty much went to look at their performance, their financial results, and they're saying like, okay, digital download is forming about 85% of their game sales on PS4 and PS5, and physical copies like 15%. So they're like, let's just kill off
yeah,
physical copies since that's not giving us like more profits, but obviously um at the effect of the other game physical stores shutting down. So yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. Is it selfish on Sony's part? Yeah, I'd agree on that, but in the end, every company just needs to like look out for themselves, because it's more or less like just a thing of making money. And I can't wait to like see how this plays out. Whether it solves the problem of people like sharing the game, like they buy physical copies, or if there's going to be any sideways. Because in the end, gamers will always find a way around this thing. That's what I've come to realize. So even if you have like one single license attached to one digital game that is purchased, the still probably be a way people will be able to like navigate sharing it with their friends or sharing it with other people that they want to give the access to. Moving on to Anthropic. Anthropic is currently in conversations with Samsung. I find it's like quite interesting, really. Starting with the fact that Anthropic has kind of like put back Mythos and Fable, which is great news for them. For context, the US government got Anthropic to like roll back their latest model because it failed a couple of like cybersecurity tests. But the AI models have been like released back to the public. But now the AI lab, they are experimenting with the idea of producing their own chips, and this is meant to be like an alternative to the chip shortages which they've been experiencing since April. So they're actually getting very serious about this idea, because they're talking to Samsung already about a potential collaboration on how to like build the AI chip. I mean, they haven't said categorically like this is what they're going to use the chip for, like how it will fit into their server or how powerful it will be. The only thing that we know for sure now is like they've started like having serious conversation with Samsung, and they intend to like start building their own chips to further train their AI models. What do you think about this?
Well, I think that it's a rational move from Anthropic, right? Especially considering the chip shortages that have been plaguing kind of like the broader tech ecosystem at this point, right? Um, Adding the, can I say, facilities to actually build their own chips and kind of like unblock themselves. I think it's a rational move from their end. I don't have any strong thoughts on this, but yeah, I think it's a positive development.
I mean, definitely agree with the way AI is moving now. It seems to be like using AI, training the models, building in general is only going to get like expensive and more expensive for the companies, for the users. The money and everything being spent on chips is definitely going to only get like more expensive. So, if they're able to like start building out their own AI chips, I think that is definitely like a smart move for them. So OpenAI is proposing giving Trump's administration a 5% stake in their company. This is very, very interesting because we literally spoke about this in our last episode. I mean, Yano called this, but I said it was going to happen before the end of the year. This is not even up to a month after we had the
Wow, Dami,
conversation.
you're trying, not you trying to take
I'm
credit
not
for my
trying to.
prediction.
I'm just saying you predicted the actual instance itself, but I added the timeline. Like it wasn't going to take long. Like it was so glaring to see that that was what the U.S. government was like gunning for. But now they are actually going to give Trump's administration like a 5% stake in the company. But yeah, OpenAI is going to be giving the US government a 5% stake in their company. And this is like a model that is similar to a bunch of other US firms. Because I just thought for them to let peace reign, I suppose that's what is given. It's like, just take and leave us alone. I don't know how I feel about it because this proposal comes from a place of pressure, in my opinion. Like the AI companies are getting so many pressure from the government just over safety, over national security, over job disruption, and the people that actually benefit from like this massive AI evaluation. But now it's just like this is going to be a situation where if the US government gets the 5% stake, they're saying the equity return is going to benefit the public rather than the private investors. And I'm just like, sure. Okay. I'm worried this could be like a way for OpenAI to just reduce regulatory risk before their IPO, because we've spoken about this as well. When they do IPO, it might be the biggest IPO in the history of the US. But do you think it's smart, like opening up this chance right now just to let peace reign, or there's more to it?
Well, Dami, I think that it's definitely a rational move from OpenAI's perspective, right? And one of the reasons, like, I think I do think it's rational, right? And that's
Yeah,
kind of like the reason why I sort of like predicted it, like to begin with. It's just 'cause looking at the general trajectory of things, right? And just how the Trump administration has typically approached private institutions as well. If you remember, was it sometime last year, the Trump administration took like a stake in Intel as
yeah,
well. And when you also think about the basically the trajectory of the broader tech ecosystem, AI has been pretty much the pot of gold, right?
sure.
It's where all the traction is. Definitely, it's where a lot of the regulatory, can I say, oversight would be positioned towards in the coming months, years as well, right? So, from Anthropic, or rather from OpenAI's perspective, trying to make a deal that has the government by your side, kind of like a rational approach to it. Some people might not like the thought of that because some people might think or feel like it's kind of like
Yeah.
equates to trying to issue a bribe to the government,
Ah,
right? I don't know about whether that, I don't know whether that's exactly it. Obviously, the legal teams of both sides will have to work out kind of like see
sure.
how that would actually be structured or whatever, right? Um, that being said, I don't think that OpenAI would be the only company that will actually end up doing this. I
Hmm.
definitely do see down the line um, also Anthropic
Yeah.
having like a similar deal with the government, perhaps also the AI labs of big institutions or big companies like Google with Gemini, or with the, DeepMind, and also Meta with their Meta Superintelligence Labs as
Mm-hmm.
well, having some kind of like deal with the government as well. I also remember, like, do you remember, like, some episodes back, we also talked about, like, for example, how governments need to kind of like reapproach the or the idea of like revenue
Yeah.
generation from first principles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about like how taxes might not be the best framework, or might not be the only
Yeah, to
framework to actually
power the
take us into the
public.
next step.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think that this might be kind of like some reflection of that, like maybe public administration are already thinking in that direction, or governments are already thinking in the direction, like, okay, like if what technocrats are saying is actually true,
Yeah.
whereby in the future people might not need to work, like according to like a lot of these technocrats out there,
True.
right? Um, if people are not working, how do people still get money, like to live their lives, right? How do governments still raise funds to take care of, for example, welfare, healthcare, and so on and so forth,
Mm-hmm.
right? Taking stakes in these mega cap institutions might be one approach to doing it, right? If the government has 5% stake in OpenAI, 5% stake in, let's say, Gemini, 5% stake, basically a stake
Yeah.
in all the institutions that are going to be getting a shit ton of revenue
Mm-hmm.
from AI in the future. If the government has a slice of all that pie, maybe that's a way that they can generate revenue to also take care of the society as a whole.
But are they
I
reducing taxes though? That is the main question that I want to know. If they have 5% stake in OpenAI, 5% stake in Intel, 5% stake in Anthropic, and every other company, how does this reflect on the everyday man? Is it like healthcare is going to be way cheaper, or the rest of us do not need to like pay taxes? That's what I need to know. So if it's like, yeah, fair enough, it's going to be good for the public. That means the government is able to like do more projects, transport, healthcare. Fantastic, let's have it. But the reflection has to be like way, 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 way substantial than just oh, we have like these stakes. I'm quite keen to see how the equity comes into play when it involves like the public participation, because I'm keen to see what the IPO is going to be like. That's going to be massive. I can predict it already for both OpenAI and Anthropic. So yeah, the equity return would greatly benefit the public in that case.
Yeah, and I mean, there's also the overarching question of how this would sort of scale internationally,
Yeah.
right? I mean, if the US government gets 5%, that's all fine and dandy, but that's just
What about the
5% for the
government?
US government. What about the UK government? What about the
Yes.
Chinese government? What about the
Yes.
EU, right? I'm pretty sure that if this deal goes through, other governments around the world will be like, hey, these guys are making money in our
Now
country
you are
too. We
thinking
deserve
too
it.
far
We deserve a
ahead.
slice of that pie, right?
You're thinking too far ahead. I know, like, yeah, but you think that maybe the US government feels like they have a stake just because the company is like registered in their own country. That would need to be a bigger conversation to have with these other governments, because technically they're not domiciled in their countries, but fair enough, they are providing some level of service in that country. So maybe it will be like 0.1% or like 0.2, but it definitely cannot be as much stake as the US government itself. But I agree with you. I think a conversation like that might come up in the future as well. Talking about the
Yeah,
US government, they got hacked again. The Department of
interesting.
Homeland Security is like investigating the breach of its platform. I find it's like quite interesting because they are constantly on the neck of other companies to make sure their security is like airtight, but this is still happening even within their own internal body. And what actually got asked, like the cyber attack happened with the information network, which allows like the government
Wow.
agencies to plan, coordinate, and like share information and intelligence about major
Yeah.
events and respond to emergencies. That is wild. How did that happen? How did the hackers get in? These are questions that I need the Homeland Security to answer. Obviously, I'm not going to like get an answer because that's like internal information that is very airtight. But thinking about the fact that a government security system is also getting hacked makes me wonder are we putting too much pressure and so much expectation on companies to perform at a very high level? Because with all these AI companies as well, Anthropic's Fable got rolled back because they failed like a security test, which Amazon put in place. But then the US government was like, oh no, you can't launch the products. You need to like roll it back. And now the homeland security is getting hacked. The math is not mathing. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the script writes itself, dummy, right? That's the irony of the whole situation, right? But yeah, I'm not holding my breath for any sort of post mortem
Yeah.
from the Department of Homeland Security at all, to be honest. Um, that being said, hopefully the US government sorts out whatever is going on, right? We definitely do not want the bad guys to win
Yeah.
or hack into the system. So, yeah, interesting development there.
Yeah, definitely agree. So it's not clear what data was stolen or how much was taken. Not like they will ever let the public know, but that is like interesting news to be aware of. It just shows like there is no system that is infallible. At the end of the day, we are all humans trying our best to be as secure as possible. I hope all employers out there can hear this. Do not put too much pressure on your employees because we are all infallible. Okay, I'm done. Anywho, moving on to the next piece of news and the very last one. This is about Lime. I had no idea like Lime had this in them because what? I mean,
Yeah,
there's some companies that you read up about and you think, you know what, they're not making so much profit, even though they're trying really hard to like expand. That was what Lime was for me for the longest time. I just thought they were pretty much like Uber, trying to like scale as best as possible. But now they've actually IPO'd and they are a public company. Not bad numbers because they raised like 167 million dollars in their IPO after like almost a whole decade of being a private company. Big ups to them. The valuation was swinging like a whole back and forth. They survived the pandemic surprisingly because people were indoors, not going anywhere. So who were the people that were using Lime in 2020? I need you people to come outside and report yourself. Why? How? What were you doing with the bikes during the pandemic? But now, Lime is 9 years old. They're backed by Uber, and yeah, I think it's quite interesting. The IPO is great. They're saying like even without like they desperately needed the IPO. That's was something that was like quite interesting to see because they have so many liabilities, so much debt.
yeah,
This is fascinating to me because I think about companies. What keeps you going, really? How do you get to the point where you make the decision to, you know what, we need help? Like in this case, Lime got to that point and they just had to like become public because they could not do it
yeah,
anymore on a private
yeah.
standard. What do you think about it?
Um, to be honest, I found this news surprising yet not surprising at the same
Hmm.
time. Um, I've always looked at Lime as a company that's kind of like knocking at death's door, to be honest.
Oh my.
Um, in terms of like, I'm just trying to be like real here. I'm just trying to be honest, right? In terms of like the product itself, I do like the product. I like the
Yeah.
bicycles.
Yeah.
I think it's like a great product. But then when you look at like the industry that Lime is playing in as a whole, right? The
Hmm.
profit margins are really slim, right? Also, you think about like what it takes to run a business like Lime. They need a huge amount of like capital and infrastructure out there, infrastructure in the form of like actual bicycles. You have your Lime
True.
bikes, you have
Yeah.
your Lime scooters. Also, when you think about the rate at which these equipment deteriorates, deteriorates rather rapidly, right? You need to replace them like routinely.
Yeah.
Let's say a bicycle tire gets punctured, you need to work on fixing that. Let's say something gets stolen, let's say a part gets broken. Like there are so many things that could kind of like go wrong. So it's kind of like a constant cycle of capital expenditure, right? To kind of like just keep things chugging along like
Yeah.
nicely. Um, so yeah, definitely Lime needs a huge amount of cash to kind of like keep operating. But then at the same time, just because of like the kind of like industry as a whole, the profit margins are really slim, right?
Hmm.
They're really slim. So like yes, I'm not surprised that Lime would actually resort to go getting an IPO,
Mm-hmm.
just to keep money coming in, right? To help sustain the business. What I am surprised at is like Lime has made it this far,
True.
and with
Mm-hmm.
that in mind, kudos to them, right, for actually keeping at it and still driving, still fighting, still innovating, right, still pushing, like, and not giving up, right? Like, kudos to them. That's like really good, and that's kind of like a spirit I like to see generally.
Mm-hmm.
What I am curious about now is like now that they've gotten the money, now that they've IPO'd, how are they going to turn things around? How are they going to bring
Yeah.
how are they going to bring in more money, right? Are they going to scale into different verticals? Are they going to add like new, exciting, like I don't know, right? It's really up to like the executives of Lime to figure this out
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, they have to like sort out this capital issue like as soon as possible.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, one of the interesting things that I've seen within their app, an area they're trying to extend into is like delivery. And for the longest time, I've always thought about it like it seems like a no-brainer, something that they should be doing already. But the concept of actually running deliveries so you can use a line buy as a person to do a delivery business. And I find that's like quite interesting. So it's like you're a dispatch rider, you don't want to buy a bike, you just sign up on the Limes
Yeah.
delivery option and that works for you. But there definitely has to be like other ideas they can explore. I agree with you on that. It has to be something that is very innovative. I mean, look at Uber. Uber has Uber Eats now, and they has like Uber airports. There just has to be like other ideas that people that the Lime can have within its app. I don't know what the best structure would be, but yeah, in the end, big ups to them for running this far with this IPO. Personally, I can't say I'm 100% confident it's going to save them. They might have maybe like 5 years left in them
Mm,
if they
sure.
don't start like innovating and thinking out of the box, because there are so many competitors like right now, and that's what I find like really funny. There's Forest, there's one VOI I recently saw, and I was just thinking to myself, Lime must be so pissed to
Yeah,
be
the
seeing all
competition
these
is
brands.
really tough. The competition is intense. That's one of the
Yeah,
reasons why the profit margins are so slim. You can't really afford, like in terms of price elasticity, you can't really
yeah,
afford to increase prices because you have competition that your customers can easily go to, right?
yeah,
And that's kind of like the problem at hand. So yeah, definitely curious about how they'll end up solving this.
yeah, definitely. I think they'll be fine in the end. They'll definitely be fine, but we keep up with the news, whatever else comes up following this IPO, and updates you guys as much as new news kind of like unravel. And with that, we've
Yeah.
come to the end of the news. What else do you have in prediction for the rest of the year, Yano? Since you know everything now, what is the one thing that you are looking forward to again? Say for the rest of this month. Let's not go too far. With the way tech is like
For
panning out
for
right now.
for this month specifically,
Yeah,
I don't think I have much of a prediction for this month, but if you ask me about the year as a whole, I do have one that comes to mind.
yeah.
Um, and that would be I predict that Apple is going to release a pair of smart glasses and then they're going to eat Meta's lunch. That's pretty
Oh
much my
my.
prediction. I feel that's my prediction. Apple is going to release a pair of smart glasses this year and they're going to dominate the smart glasses space within 1 year after they released the smart glasses.
But what would differentiate like the Apple smart glasses from the Meta one?
The ecosystem, the Apple
Fair.
ecosystem,
Okay,
basically.
because they already like have a big user base, and to be very honest, the Apple loyalists are very, very loyal to the brand. I
Yeah.
personally, I haven't gotten the Meta glasses just because it's Meta, and truly, if Apple drops smart glasses, best believe I'm getting one. So yeah, that makes sense. I actually think, let's see. We never know. But yeah, I have like so much faith right now in your predictions, like 75% faith. You never know. If it happens, you heard it here first. Apple
You
dropping
heard it here
smart
first.
glasses. I don't
Nice.
think I have anything that I'm really looking forward to for the rest of the year, to be honest. But I think just more like wearables. I was going to like say that not just the Apple glasses part of it, but maybe like more like smartwatches. I've really been getting into like the health trackers, Aura rings and things like that. I feel like the health tech sector is not getting enough love right now. So I think a company might come up that will be doing something that is like very drastic that has never been seen before within the health tech sector. So I'm holding my breath for that. I feel like something might happen in that area before the end of the year. But again, you never know. If there's any company building, you need to build fast and ship fast because I'm rooting for you. I don't know you yet, but I'm rooting for you to do something within the health tech sector that would really advance what things currently are right now. And with that,
Okay.
we've come to the end of Tech Talk Tool for this week. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next week with another episode of the latest news in tech and everything happening from IPOs, AI, literally everything around tech. If you are not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well. Would love to hear from you. So leave a comment, and if you're listening on other platforms, make sure you follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to your podcast. If you don't already follow us on social media, be sure to follow us on social media. The handle is.
At Tech Tactile Pod.
And if you want to say hello via email, we love hearing from you guys. Literally, you can shoot us an email at.
Hello at TechTactile.live.
Thank you, and we see you in our next episode. Bye.
Peace.